What's up, fight fans? Thank you so much once again for tuning in this week to Pure Fight Radio. I am Brett Cristelli, and I'm with my co-host, Manny David, hailing from Canada. Let's go ahead and say what's up, Manny.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, so we apologize for the delay in our shows. Me and Manny have been having some issues trying to get our schedules together. Of course, we live completely different lives and we live in completely different areas, so just getting ourselves together to actually do the podcast is a challenge. And of course, getting the time to upload it and everything is a challenge as well. So we're trying to get that all settled out so we can have it pushed out once every week during the weekday so you guys can actually have a consistent basis of content from us. But until then, we will figure that out hopefully this coming week. But also, you know, there's not too much to talk about for the show. Of course, we're going to recap UFC London, which happened a week ago now from the O2 Arena in London, England. And we're going to go ahead and recap that for you right now. We're also going to talk some Bellator. We've got, of course, there's no Bellator card this coming weekend, but we're going to break down, not really break down, but just kind of go over the fights that are happening for their brand new promotional pay-per-view that's happening in, I can't remember what month it's happening in, but I know it's of course happening in the Madison Square Garden, and it's going to be their first pay-per-view event, and it's a pretty stacked card already, so we're very much looking forward to that. But we're going to go ahead and start off with UFC London, which happened a week ago now. There are two main performances we're going to look at. Of course, Manuwa defeated Corey Anderson by KO in the first round. Gunnar Nelson had a stellar performance against Alan Jouban. And there are a few other fights we're definitely going to break down in a minute. This podcast isn't going to be very long at all. So, Manny, if you want to go ahead and get us started with UFC London.
Yeah, that's cool. Jimmy Manuwa putting that work in. Light heavyweight main event versus Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson, kind of what you define as jack of all trades, master of none. Dude has some explosiveness as far as his wrestling ability, and he does pack heat, you know, standard wrestler boxer type, you know, with his D3 wrestling. That being said, really couldn't threaten with a takedown, and not a lot of conviction in his boxing skills. Manuwa was pretty much looking to counter the whole time while backing up and basically looking to space versus a guy like Anderson, who was looking to press the pace, move forward, and you know, look for something essentially. Well, Jimmy Manuwa was just waiting until he can come through with what he did, and that was kind of a nasty overhand. It was a rather easy fight to call, in my personal opinion, just because it's only a matter of time before Jimmy Manuwa at least connects once, rather than does Corey Anderson, you know, bring the fight to the ground or connect at all. I just couldn't see him capitalizing if he did get it to the ground, which I didn't think he'd get to the ground in general. And I thought that outboxing Manuwa would have been a hard ask for him, so it played out the way I thought it would. Jimmy Manuwa is a beast, you know, striking wise. As long as you don't pair him up against someone who has a legitimate threat to taking him down and or knocking him out simultaneously, like Anthony Johnson, as we've seen before, then Jimmy Manuwa is going to put in a lot of work. He's beaten guys like Corey Anderson just now and Ovin St-Pierre. He's definitely a contender. I can't say he's not. That's two performance of the nights in a row. So he's nasty. And I think that he definitely warrants a bout versus someone strong. I wouldn't even be surprised. Like, hear me out. This might sound crazy. Jimmy Manuwa versus John Jones. If that ever happens, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that would be a really cool fight to see, number one, just because John Jones has no hands, and that's all Jimmy Manuwa has. So I think that would be a cool welcome back fight for John Jones, and I think that would be a good step up in competition for Jimmy Manuwa. Again, with what he's done recently, I think he's a contender.
Oh, I agree. I don't think that's a crazy fight by any means, in all honesty. I think that's actually a really good fight. Of course, Jimmy Manuwa said after the vicious knockout he had of Corey Anderson this past weekend that he really has no interest in John Jones because John Jones takes steroids. He's not, you know, he's still suspended right now. He's focused on getting the title. He wants a title shot. And I'm cool with that. Is he going to get the next title shot? Probably not.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's no way you get a title shot without facing Jones if that ever happens.
Not just that, but okay, so you got Johnson and Cormier going on right now. So the winner of when John Jones comes back, I don't know if he's going to get a title shot right away. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the UFC plans on doing. That could be the case. But of course, the last time John Jones came back after a long layoff, he didn't look that good. So I almost think John Jones might want a bit of a warm-up fight. And Jimmy Manuwa is not a warm-up fight by any means necessary.
He's a warm-up fight. He's a warm-up fight.
A little bit, yeah.
But by definition, he's a warm-up fight. As good as he is.
Yeah. But just,
like, this guy got knocked out by, two people that you'd arguably beat.
Yeah,
exactly. So, for me, it's free.
Yeah, it should be. You never know, though. Of course, Manuwa has those hands, but Jones has literally everything else.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So that's obviously a very winnable fight for Jones, and it is a good step up in competition for Manuwa. Some people suggested Manuwa gets matched up against Shogun. I think that's lights out nighty night for Shogun, probably in the first round. Although Shogun's looked pretty decent of late, he's still old and over the hill, unfortunately. And I know Gustafsson has a fight lined up against Glover Teixeira, but I mean, unless Gustafsson wins that fight, I don't see the winner of that getting a title shot. Like, I don't see Glover fighting for a title shot. I really don't.
No.
Especially, he just got knocked out by Johnson in 13 seconds. Like, it's not happening.
Because Jimmy Manuwa versus Glover right now doesn't look like it means anything. So
no,
Jimmy
that would
really
be a good fight, but that's not.
I mean, it's not going to get him a contender bout if he isn't one, or a title bout if he is already a contender. Right. John Jones is the only fight they should make, my personal opinion, unless someone gets hurt and he gets an interim title shot or, goes in for the contender. So I think that it's just he's in the state of flux in which he doesn't want to face John Jones, but I think that's kind of soft, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to face John Jones. If in my mind, if I'm Jimmy Manuwa, I think I match up really good versus John Jones because he doesn't have hands again. So literally, you'll probably lose to everything else. It's just at least your chance of winning is evident. It's not like John Jones going up against Chael Sonnen, where it's completely free, where you're actually better than everywhere. You actually have a way to win. So, if I'm Jimmy Manuwa versus a coked out, bloated John Jones, I would take that fight in a heartbeat. He's foolish for thinking otherwise.
The dad bod John Jones that grappled Dan Henderson.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, bloated as hell.
He was. And he's still. I mean, Dan looked like a fucking welterweight compared to John Jones, but Jesus.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But again, not much more else to talk about with the main event. We've talked about we talked about the main event more than it lasted. So,
exactly.
Co-main event now, Gunnar Nelson versus Alan Jouban. Gunnar Nelson, oh man, the way he wrapped that guillotine.
It was beautiful.
Christ. I want to see more killer instinct from Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah. Something
that I've been really annoyed with when I do watch him is how passive he looks. It's like he's how would I just define him? Kind of like the kind of same passive that Gegard Mousasi is sometimes, or Hector Lombard. It's just like, you're a murderer, but you choose not to be. I understand they're pressure fighters like Damian Maia and Rick Story. I get that. But at least versus Rick Story, who doesn't have any way of stopping the fight immediately, why didn't you go at him? That was a really big piss-off. I still thought he won that fight, but he's a better striker than Rick, and he's a better... I think he's a better defensive grappler, of course. Then we saw him versus Alan Jouban here, and they were in two different leagues for the most part. I think Jouban was like a 4-1 dog or something like that,
right?
And it showed. Gunnar Nelson, where does he go from here? The welterweight division's kind of open right now as far as who you can face contender-wise, because there's a decent amount of them. I wouldn't say welterweight's stacked, but it's more like there's a lot of guys who look good. Mm-hmm. So Gunnar Nelson versus just about anyone I won't hate. Maybe the winner of... Okay, this is crazy. This sounds crazy, but if Masvidal gets through Maia, maybe he faces him. But other than that, anyone I'm pretty happy with, because to me, Gunnar Nelson's still not. He is still not like a welterweight contender. The guys he beat are outside of the top 15. Every single person, either outside of the top 15 or are not in the league anymore. So, I don't really hold much weight in what Gunnar Nelson's done in the UFC. Although he has 4 performance of the nights, I just, I need to see him versus more top 10 talent immediately.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't really beaten, of course, anybody in the top 10. The one fight he had against a guy who's currently in the top 10 was against Damian Maia, and he lost by decision. That was over a year ago. That's a free fight. Big time free.
Maia.
Maybe a Carlos Condit type fight wouldn't be too bad.
That guy has to get healthy first.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just weird for him. I mean, Condit's been, losing to the top 5 for the most part. That's it.
Right.
So he's lost to St-Pierre, Hendricks, Woodley, Lawler, Maia. And then he's taken fights and won versus dangerous contenders who have been there technically already. Like Campman has a win versus Jake Shields, who's beat Carlos Condit, and Carlos Condit also got a win versus Thiago Alves, who is a former title shot guy. Why would you take a fight versus Gunnar Nelson? Would I think that fight makes sense, especially if Carlos Condit's coming back from a layoff? Probably, because Gunnar Nelson's kind of hot. It's just, I don't think he's excited for that. I don't think he'd be excited for that fight. There's no way he would.
No, I didn't really think about that, but Condit probably wouldn't want to come back unless it's against, a real top contender or, a guy who's got a name. I don't. There's not too much motivation left in Carlos Condit from what I've seen to fight, and I don't think a fight would
especially versus non-top 5 guys,
right? And especially against a guy like Nelson who doesn't really have the name value yet. And I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if and that's not. It could be a bad matchup for Condit. Condit's not. Condit's got very good grappling skills, but doesn't have the best takedown defense, of course.
I think that gets taken. I think he gets taken down. It's free.
Yeah, I think so too.
Going to run a train on him.
I think so too.
Free. Yeah.
And at this point, Condit's takedown defense is really, it's never really been there, but especially now, it's definitely non-existent. Damian Maia took him down with relative ease in the first round and submitted him with relative ease. And Carlos Condit's always had quality grappling skills. So just the fact that he was submitted so easily by Maia makes me think that definitely if Gunnar was able to get him down, that, like you said, it's a free fight. I do think a Masvidal fight, if Masvidal beats Damian Maia, wouldn't be bad. I also think that I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC decided to throw Masvidal in there for a title shot if he beats Maia. I wouldn't be surprised because at the end of the day, who else do you throw in there for a title shot should Maia lose that fight? You could Robbie Lawler still doesn't have a fight lined up. I think they should match up Robbie Lawler and Stephen Thompson. I don't know what you do with Woodley, but if Maia loses against Masvidal, if Maia wins, it's a title shot. If the UFC actually decides to put merit, into their matchmaking for once. But if not, I don't really know what happens. Welterweight's just is pretty free right now. It's kind of scattered.
Yep, not much else to say there. I mean, it's a decent division. It's just there's no one dominant, and the contenders are kind of jumbled.
There. And you got guys going to Bellator now.
Can you blame them?
No, I don't at all. They're getting more money. They're getting more, they have a better chance of getting a title, too. So
that's the thing. That's just
I don't blame them at all.
Money, yeah, pretty much. You lost a few of their contenders already, mainly Rory McDonald, but UFC has to appease fighters better because these guys realize that their window of opportunity to make money in the sport is very, very small. There's guys, I'm only 26 years old. There's guys who are retired by my age,
right?
Let alone haven't started yet. So they realize if they're going to take this seriously as a profession for however long they're doing it, without doing anything else that much, they have to make these kind of moves. Are they as prestigious? No. But at the end of the day, if you're a combat sportsman, you have to think about the money more than anything, because no one's going to be taking care of you after, your head trauma and your injuries when you're retired, in your late 30s or early 40s or way earlier than that.
Especially these guys who don't really develop that type of GSP or Anderson Silva name, where they can't really do things afterwards, and they didn't really make nearly as much money as them. Anderson Silva fights right now just because he loves fighting. Anderson Silva could easily retire and be perfectly fine for the rest of his life, just because he does have that name value, and he can do stuff like he just did with the Ultimate Beastmaster and stuff. Yeah, he's fine.
He's made that money, regardless of the opportunity.
He just wants to fight because he loves fighting at this point, and that's a completely different story from everyone else, because everyone else is trying to build that name and make that money so they can get to that point, like Anderson Silva or GSP or any one of those guys up there, Chuck Liddell, who have made a name for themselves and can open up their own gym and, make their own money and train guys and, do their own thing and have businesses on the side and everything like that. But a lot of these guys don't do that because they're not given that opportunity, and they don't end up getting there in their career. Yeah, exactly. They don't end up getting there in their career. They're not good enough. So once they retire, a lot of guys have to find different professions that aren't.
They should, because you shouldn't. Combat sports for the rest of your life is it's tough. Regardless if you're coaching or fighting or anything like that. Just I understand the mental stress behind this fight game. It sucks, but for some people it's a passion. For some people it just pays the bills, and I respect that. You take a look at guys like, for example, Chael Sonnen. He doesn't need to fight. No, he's a real estate agent with a political background. So he can do whatever he wants. Yep. But yeah, a lot of these guys don't have the foresight for this kind of stuff. It's as if this is their be-all, end-all, and that's kind of sad, because 95% of these guys aren't going to make it, so whatever. Moving on, we have the catchweight bout. On short notice, Marlon Vera comes in, head kicks Brad Pickett in the third round. After a back-and-forth fight that he was dictating for the most part, Brad Pickett's shot. I don't know what else to say there. I was kind of hoping he would get a win just because it's his last fight, and it's in England, but, he is shot. He's obviously, he's been done for quite a bit of time now, at least for the past year. I think he's, just kind of been fighting to make some cash at this point. It's good to see him hang them up, because obviously he's past his prime. When he was in his prime, he was great to watch. He was a fun fighter, especially back in the WBC. He's still great to watch.
He still is, absolutely. But
I'm not going to front, though. I don't, he's shot, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm taking a look at who he's lost to.
No, they're good fighters.
Yeah, Marlon Vera's, scary, but, he was, it was still, a toss-up. Yeah. To be honest, because of the late notice. Mm-hmm. So it's not a good loss for Brad Pickett. Uriah Faber, better everywhere. Alcantara, better everywhere. Rivera barely beats Rivera. Almeida destroyed him.
I know. That was bad. That was sweet. But he did win a split decision over Francisco Rivera about a year ago, so it's not he lost to Yuri Alcantara, like you said. Uriah Faber. Those are top fighters, even though that was Uriah's retirement fight. Uriah could still hang with the top guys. He's just not going to beat them. Brad Pickett's going to be competitive to a certain extent with these upper level guys, but he's not going to beat them. And I'm glad that he does see that, because he's lost 6 out of his last 7 fights, which is not very good. And he's recognizing that he's kind of, obviously he's done. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and he knows. He knows.
Which is good, which is something I like to see from fighters when they realize that they're done. Hey, I'm not in my prime anymore. I'm going to go ahead and hang them up, and I can appreciate.
Dude was done 7-8 fights ago. Let's be real.
He was, but unfortunately, that's the reality of mixed martial arts, where you have guys who are clearly done, but they still want to fight for a long time, i.e. Anderson Silva. He's been done since...
but Anderson does it because he wants to. A lot of these guys do it because they need to.
That's
Brad Pickett doesn't strike me as, the guy who... like he does it because he needs to, I would think, and no
assume
disrespect for him. But yeah, what can you do? 6 out of 7. It's not good. But honestly, I think that like maybe he has like a local run or a Bellator run, something like that. But as far as the top level UFC, he's done, and he keeps getting contenders. That's the thing.
I mean, I could see him obviously retiring, and if it's one of those cases where like he needs money, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, to see him go back to like Bellator and try to not really make a run, but just win some fights, make some money against guys who he can beat. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So that's definitely something that could happen.
Yeah, without a doubt. Moving on, Arnold Allen versus Makwan Amirkhani. I was hoping that Makwan Amirkhani would come here, wrestle Fitchum, and that would be the end of it. It's kind of like what happens when you have, basically two well-rounded fighters / grapplers go at it. And that, it wasn't a good look as far as a fight is concerned. There are no good fights here, just good finishes. It was either an average to bad fight, if not a finish. And this was not a finish. So, doesn't really do anything for either of these guys name-wise. They don't also fight outside of Europe that much. So, to be honest, you can't do a lot with them right now. So, I'm going to leave that alone. Mark Jacasey versus Teemu Packalén, though.
Jeez. Mark Jacasey is nasty.
First off, I want to say something in UFC. I'm glad that they just didn't give performance of the night to him. Every finish got a performance of the night, which I thought was really cool.
That is really cool.
I also think there should be a finish bonus in the UFC. Besides like performance of the night, I think if you do get the finish, I think you should get like an extra, 20 grand or something like that.
I think so too, because obviously you've got the win bonus, which is fine and dandy, and that's good to see. And of course you've got your
that win bonus should be better if
you get a finish. No, I completely agree. Whether it's a submission or a TKO or a knockout, there should be some sort of finish bonus, and I think that's actually a really good idea. That's something that the UFC should implement. Will they? I don't know. God only knows what they're going to do at this point.
They already feel like this is good enough.
Probably.
Especially, like, look at this. They handed out $200,000 US to 4 random fighters. Like, total.
Right.
I feel like they think this is good enough.
Right.
Jimmy Manuwa, he obviously, went in, Gunnar Nelson, Marlon Vera. But Mark Jacasey, oh my gosh.
This man is crazy. Yo,
holy
I meant
crap.
to mention him on the pre-fight show that we had, but it just we were trying to get through it quick, and it just kind of slipped my mind. But yo, this guy is a serious prospect. I think he's 25 years old.
Yeah, and he's with American Top Team, so it's not like he trains with scrubs.
No, I of course he's got faults in his game, but he's a young guy, and hopefully he can fix those faults. Obviously, cardio is not one of his best strengths, and obviously when he gets put on his back, not his best strength. He has decent takedowns, but obviously his strength is his explosiveness, his power, his technique.
Yeah, he needs to train with the great counter wrestlers that are on that roster, like mainly Robbie Lawler, and I'm sure he will. Like he's what, your age? Like
I think he's like I said, about 25. Something like he's 24 years old, so a couple years older than me.
Christ, man. He's going to be a problem, he is a problem, and he's going to be a problem for others.
He just turned 24, so he's 1 year older than me. My God.
Yeah, first off, the nickname's on point.
Absolutely.
And he has the camp, he has the physique, he has the style. You could see this guy going a long way. I just think that he needs to keep trucking. Again, I don't know who he faces.
He called out. He had actually called out Paul Felder out on Twitter, and they kind of went back and forth. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that fight get made.
That'd be a good fight, but
it would.
It's free. It's so free. I respect Paul Felder. Paul Felder's a nice, well-rounded, exciting fighter, but he's unless he gets that to the mat, like, he's not winning that fight. What's he going to do? Back fist Jacasey?
Yeah, not at all. He's not nearly as explosive. He's not. I mean, he's technical, but he's not as technical as Jacasey. He's not fast enough. He doesn't have the footwork that Jacasey does. He kind of just plots forward. Unless he's able to, be able to get Jacasey in the clinch and get him on the ground on his back, I don't see that fight going well for Felder. I actually see Jacasey probably knocking him out as well. Although I don't know. Paul Felder's a tough guy. He's a guy Edson Barboza couldn't finish, so.
As long as that fight's standing, Jacasey wins. But here's the thing: Jacasey actually throws, in contrast to
he does
Barboza, and he can box, unlike Barboza.
Oh, he can box.
Barboza's like Muay Thai for the most part.
That crazy 360, like double freaking switch kick he threw.
Yeah, it's sick.
It was insane. This dude's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, he's nuts.
And that counter right hand to knock him out, he didn't like. His opponent, I can't remember what his name was. I can't pronounce it on here. He didn't even throw a punch that he threw a feint, and he countered the feint with the right hand, and he got through it. That's how quick he was. I
mean, Temu's like I'm not sure what he's good at after watching that, but I'm like, he's a grappler, obviously. So, because like who comes in like that? But real talk, that was insane. I have no words for that. I think that's I'd like to see a guy like Jacasey fight outside of the UK, especially if he's training outside of the UK. So I want to see more of that. If anything, there's more fights that you could take over here that are more credible, like, especially like there's a lot more like local level talent that you can get over here as far as like, the southern United States, in cards there in the future. So maybe beat up on some local names, and then people will take more notice of you if they didn't already with this. So we'll see, because I don't know, because like I still don't know who you'd pair him up against, but he's nasty. That's pretty much it, right? But yeah, another thing is like I'm tired of watching not Jacasey, but other Muay Thai guys like who have no hands. It's like the thing that pisses me off the most.
Edson Barboza.
I mean, Jose Aldo, Edson Barboza.
That too.
To a certain extent, like the shoot to box style fighters who get caught coming in all the time, they just match up horribly versus guys
anyone
like
with
this.
boxing skills.
The McGregors, pretty much like Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor is what we saw.
Is a prime example of getting caught coming in because he has sloppy boxing skills.
Exactly. Awful. And here's the thing, what's crazy? Like, remember when Jose Aldo fought Frankie Edgar?
Yeah.
Like, Frankie Edgar wasn't getting outboxed. He was just getting stuff takedown, so he was losing on effective grappling and cage control. And Jose Aldo would get a leg kick in here and there, but it's not like Jose Aldo was
second fight.
In the second fight. It's not like Jose Aldo was outstriking him either fight, though.
No, I mean, he was just very effective, and like he was
neutralizing
performance.
He was neutralizing Frankie Edgar, and it wasn't like there was much offense from Jose Aldo, but he beat him with
a great performance. Though it was just like
I wouldn't say it was great.
I think so, just because of the way he fought. And I mean, like, obviously, a finish would have been nice and more offense would have been nice. But just a tactical fight, I thought he put in a stellar performance. His takedown defense is unfreaking believable, man.
Well, like, that's the thing. He has the soccer background, so he's just fairly well balanced. And
absolutely,
he's one of the better athletic specimens we've ever seen.
Yeah, but it's crazy. It's like, because I know I don't even have to look at the fight statistics. Like, I know for that fight, I know Frankie Edgar threw more. He just... Aldo was just stuffed so many takedowns, and he landed here and there with jabs and a couple leg kicks. Didn't have to do much, but he won.
Though.
Yeah,
like, that's the thing. Like, he won with defense, and it's not like he was countering. It was like letting Frankie. He let Frankie do a lot. So like a part of me was bothered by that performance, but the fact that he was so effective in neutralizing him was cool.
It was.
It's just like I looked.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice to see him do more.
Of course, but like watching that performance was like watching Ben Henderson versus Frankie, but Jose Aldo was more effective at what he did.
Yeah,
that's how I felt about that.
That second Ben Henderson Frankie Edgar fight was pretty bad.
Oh god, it was trash. It was rubbish.
First fight was great, but
but real talk, like like when guys like Frankie Edgar can expose people with hands, like Frankie, who has like zero reach, like like I have a problem with that when I see these up and coming so-called strikers come in. I'm not saying Jose Aldo's up and coming, because he's not, but like I'm just saying like guys who fight similarly to that style, or have done so for a number of years. Like a number of kickboxers in general just don't have the greatest hands. Like Donald Cerrone got exposed versus Nate Diaz.
Ooh. And Masvidal.
Oh my god. Right?
I mean, boxing 101.
Like, it matters. Like,
just put it together on him.
If these guys haven't taken a note from McGregor, it's that, like, you might as well fight this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like, it's easier. It's easier to space, and you use less energy. Like,
yep.
Like I have respect for where people come from as far as their fighting styles and stuff like that, but
they've got to learn at least basic boxing skills.
Boxing's the cheapest thing to learn.
It is.
I don't understand why people don't have better hands in MMA. I'm taking a look at, like, again, how we mentioned in the past, what's his face? Tony Ferguson, and why we would think that Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov wouldn't have been completely free. It's because Tony can actually box,
and Nurmagomedov has no boxing skills, really.
No, he doesn't. So, like, at least we
saw Michael Johnson light him up on the feet for a few minutes.
And if Johnson can do that, like Ferguson now can. I know Johnson's outboxed Ferguson in the past, but Ferguson's way better now.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've seen. I mean, for instance, like we were talking about Edson Barboza with no hands. We've seen Michael Johnson box him up, and Michael Johnson's boxing skills are okay, but they're not anything.
They're good.
Special.
They're not great. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're not anything. They're not.
Sometimes that's all you need, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would say McGregor's boxing is great for MMA, of course. He's a great boxer when he's thrown in the octagon. I don't know how it's going to work when if he does indeed box Floyd Mayweather, but I don't want to talk about that fight. I'm sorry for mentioning it. I shouldn't have mentioned it.
Oh man,
I broke the rule.
Like, we shouldn't talk about it until they confirm it.
Yep.
Like, I'll believe it when, like, we have a date. We see HBO, like any like HBO previews, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Any primetime specials, that's when we'll be like, okay, we'll talk about it. But I'm not a fan of like the the Skip Bayless like speculation style, the undisputed first take. It's like a much ado about nothing, you know?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, but I know you weren't trying to go there, but
nope. I don't. Like I said, I remember the last episode. I think we briefly said, I don't want to talk about it or think about it before it's actually put in paper, so we can just ignore the fact that that's even going to happen.
I mean, the reason
it does happen.
Yeah, like the reason I think it was okay for us to discuss GSP, for example, is because we know he's not coming back.
Right.
Like, so like that's for sure.
That's completely different.
Yeah, like, but this is like the reason we're so skeptical is like it took 7 years for Mayweather Pacquiao to happen?
Yep.
So why are we talking about super fights, especially when dude doesn't even fight in that sport? So,
and he never has.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. So, I'm about it. Yeah, I can't front. So, we'll see. But yeah, anyway, like, there's not much else to discuss right now, is there? Nothing too crazy?
No, I mean, we could just briefly talk about how Bellator's got their pay-per-view card coming up. And my phone's ringing, so I apologize.
Yeah,
Bellator's got the pay-per-view card coming up, which is pretty cool. It's going to be their first pay-per-view event. And it's happening in June 24th at Madison Square Garden, which is pretty awesome. So shouts to Bellator. It seems like they're throwing together pretty darn good card so far. We've got Chael Sonnen versus Vanderlei Silva headlining that pay-per-view, which is hit or miss for me.
I got Vanderlei all day.
Yeah, especially if Chael Sonnen fights like he did against Tito Ortiz. Vanderlei wins that fight all day. Chael Sonnen post-TRT, post-banned substances is pretty much shot. I mean, he was shot once he left the UFC, and then he retired.
Beat Shogun?
Yeah, but, I mean, Shogun was shot in that fight, too.
If he beats Shogun, he should beat Vanderlei. But it's just like...
That was also like 4 years ago.
But the fact that he's shot himself now is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, gotta go with Vanderlei for now, although Vanderlei's on like a 4-year layoff. He was suspended for life, so that was interesting. Oh God, I don't even want to get into that. I feel it's just a sorry situation all around. Heavyweight Fyodor Emelianenko versus Matt Mitrione. Emelianenko should find a way to win. That's what he does. That being said, Matt Mitrione's a better boxer. Yeah. So anything can happen.
Yeah, it's nice to see that fight get finally have a venue and a date now.
Don't count on it.
Yeah. I literally I should have done this before this happened, but after Khabib and Ferguson fell through, I don't bank on any fight happening until they're actually walking into the cage, because literally anything can happen at any time. So I don't bank on any fights happening anymore until they're actually happening.
Yep.
And you can't, because, I mean, especially with the weight cutting issues and just, people getting injured left and right.
But
heavyweight too, but just in general, I mean, even the lightweights, pulled out because of weight cutting issues, and, people get pulled out because kidney stones, like Matt Mitrione last time, the night of the fight. So things happen. So, I can't blame fighters for pulling out. If they're not healthy, they're not healthy. They don't feel like they can fight. I'm not going to say, hey, you need to fight. If you don't think you're going to be 100%, it doesn't matter, because I'm a fan and I want to see you fight. No,
while I think you should have empathy for the fighters, and I think that's just, and trust me, I do. I believe I'm not one of those fans who are, responsible for being a part of this state where, fighters don't make a lot of money, and I'm going to get off on that because they're more like me. I'm like, I've always hated that mentality, but literally, I want these guys to be lavish as much as possible, and I'd like for them to have as world-class training as possible, have as much of that, and hopefully they don't get hurt, and if they do, they come back better than ever. So, Matt Mitrione is, hurt like that, then what can you do? Kidney stones, it's a thing. Sucks. I wish that got canceled sooner. Yep. I can't believe he was considering fighting like that, but at least June is a thing now. Michael Chandler, the champ, versus Brent Primus. It's going to be exciting. And Douglas Lima versus Lorenz Larkin. Lorenz Larkin making his Bellator debut after leaving the UFC on a winning note. So that should be a lot of fun. I got Lima in that fight, and I got Chandler too. Yeah. You too? Probably.
Oh, yeah. I think this is a really fun fight, so I think it's awesome that Lorenz Larkin is in Bellator and he's getting a title shot immediately. I wouldn't have minded if Lorenz Larkin's going to get a title shot immediately. I wouldn't have minded seeing like Rory McDonald get one over him or something like that. But I can't complain about Rory McDonald versus Paul Daly, because that's going to be a killer fight, even though I got McDonald in that all day long. But that's, good fights. Bellator's doing something serious right now. They just signed Bader, they just signed Larkin, they just signed Michael McDonald. They're signing tons of guys who the UFC doesn't want to give the money to. So, I can't complain. I'm always a fan of competition in mixed martial arts, so it's good to see Bellator thriving.
Yeah, it helps. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week's show, guys. Hopefully you tune in to all these fight cards that are happening in the near future. Of course, that big Bellator card next week. We'll be back to preview that in a few days. So hopefully you tune into that. Got anything else to say, Brent?
Nope. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. Once again, I apologize. We apologize for the delay in our episodes and the delay in us getting them uploaded and actually getting them recorded. We're recording this on a Saturday, and we usually, of course, record during the week. But like I said earlier in this episode, me and Manny have been trying to get our schedules right so we can actually have a set day and time each week to record this and get it uploaded for you guys. So you guys can actually expect, a podcast on this certain day at this certain time, and, you're ready to watch it when it comes up, instead of it, being uploaded randomly and you're like, oh, not ready to watch this. So apologize about that, but appreciate you guys tuning in today. Once again, I am Brent Cristelli, and I've got my co-host Manny David. You can find me on Twitter at bcristelli11. You can also find us on Twitter at Pure Fight Radio. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. You can also find me on YouTube at youtube.com/BCMVP11. I've got a couple highlight videos up there, and I keep saying this every episode, but eventually when I get some free time, I will start up a new YouTube channel, and you can look forward to that. I will say that every time until I start it up. Hopefully it'll be up next week or the week after or the week after. We'll see. Manny, go ahead and plug your channels and we'll get on out of here.
And I feel like I shamelessly self-promote, but at least I have content. Oh.
You do. I can't blame you.
Yeah, all right. So I'm on youtube.com/CascadeSense. If you're ever interested in fragrance-related content, as weird as that sounds, you can check me out there. Leave the links in the description below, of course. You can find me at the Manny David on Instagram and Twitter, so I look forward to seeing you guys there and in the comment section as well. So if you guys have anything to say about our show today, please do so. We appreciate all the feedback and more. And until then, I think that about does it.
Fantastic. And you can also find me on Instagram at bcristelli11 as well, because we're plugging on our Instagrams as well. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe to all of those and follow us and, give us likes and all that good stuff. We look forward to seeing you next time. We appreciate it, guys.
Take care. See ya. Bye.